Motherfucking sense in this bitch. AKA the soul of Andromeda, the night of Venus. And shout out to all the Libras out there. Shout out to all the Libras. The sun of Libras, the moon Libras, the ascendants, the Venuses, all the Libras. Shout out to all the Libras. Because this is Libra season. And I already broke down how this Libra season is going to affect us generally. I already broke down, what comes with Libra season, generally speaking. But now this is where things get more personal. This video is all about how this Libra season 2023 is going to affect you on an individual level. And it's all based upon where Libra is in your birth chart. So, in order to follow along with this video, you're going to have to know where Libra is in your birth chart. You're also going to have to know where Leo is in your birth chart, because Venus is in Leo right now. And Venus is the natural ruler of Libra. So a lot of the energy that I'm explaining or have already explained in the last video is going to be directed and pointed in a particular area of your life, aka wherever Leo is in your birth chart. Now, typically, Leo is two signs behind Leo, two houses behind Libra. So if Libra is in the 7th house, Leo typically is in the 5th house. But thanks to nuance, you might have Leo in the house right after Libra. That is, if Libra is in the 7th house, you might have Leo in the 6th house, even though that's not typical. So that being said, you might have to watch this video over again according to where Leo is to see how this can affect you, because it might not line up into the way that I'm reading it. How I'm reading it is the normal way to read it. But without further ado, let's get right into it. And if you see me stop throughout the video and go to the side, it's because I'm going through my notes here. I got notes that I've taken for myself, not no notes I've taken from online or some shit. I'm not regurgitating some shit. This is all channeled through me. You dig what I'm saying? But yeah, let's get right into it. Say you have Libra in the 1st house. You're a Libra ascendant, Libra rising person. Well, with Libra in the 1st house, right now you're going to have to be more diplomatic with your personality. You're going to have to be more harmonious in the way that you present yourself. For example, normally you probably don't care about the way you dress. You dress how you want to dress. But right now, you have to be more diplomatic. That is, you have to be more considerative. I don't even know if that's a word, but you have to take in more considerations, other people's feelings and emotions and thoughts about this particular action. So when it comes to the way you dress, you might have to think more about how other people are going to look at you. You might have to think more about how you're going to be seen in this area. You might have to dress up more in suits right now. Or vice versa, you've been dressing in suits all your life, especially with a Libra ascendant. Right now, you probably have to relax a little bit and dress down so people can see you in a particular light. Another thing is just how you personally express yourself. Your actual personality. You might have to balance this out. You're probably too expressive with your personality, or you're probably too unexpressive with your personality. Right now, you're going to have to balance that out and start to do more of that opposite nature, whatever is opposite to you. Start to take yourself out of that comfort zone. You might have to use your personality to balance certain situations out. Things might be happening chaotic. You might be placed into chaotic situations, in chaotic environments, and you may have to use your personality to balance those things out. So that being said, when you do use these energies in the correct way, that's going to give you the ability to step into that Leo house now. And with Libra in the first house, that's naturally going to have Leo in the 11th house. So what that's going to do is that's going to bring you the ability to gain attention and recognition in areas of your associations and acquaintances. So for example, if you use your personality to be more harmonious right now, you could be seen by strangers and acquaintances and friends from afar as someone who deserves a spotlight, who deserves some recognition. Or another way, you using your personality in this diplomatic way can grant you areas of leadership when it comes to your community. Whatever community you're in, whether it be the community that you live in or the communities that you participate in. You know, like your online communities or, you know, your art communities or whatever the case may be. When you use your personality in a diplomatic way, you will gain the center stage in your community. So that's the aspect for Libra first house, Leo 11th house. Libra in the second house. Right now you're gonna let me say this too, because each alignment has a particular statement or phrase. So with the first one, Libra in the first house, Leo in the 11th house. This is about using your personality to create better relations with your associations, or using your personality to create better relationships with your acquaintances. That's the little breakdown for that. Libra in the second house. Balance your values to create a better relationship with creativity. Now, this can come down into so many different ways. With Libra in the second house right now, you have to balance your values, balance your sense of values, balance what you spend on. And I skipped the word spend what? Spend anything, because that's what values is all about. What do you spend ... on? What do you spend money on? What do you spend time on? What do you spend energy on? Whatever you spend your esoteric currency basically represents the second house. You're going to have to balance these energies out. You may be spending too much time doing something that doesn't serve your creativity. You might be spending your money in ways that don't serve your creativity. You dig what I'm saying? Because with Leo in the 12th house, you know, Venus is in the 12th house right now. So you have to value your imagination right now. You have to value your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is the mind that you create your reality from. So you have to value your creative natures right now. And you're not doing that if you're being imbalanced when it comes to your second house, aka what you spend. You get what I'm saying? So be more balanced when it comes to your values and your possessions. Speaking of which, second house being possessions, you may be someone who lends things too often. Or you might be someone who's too fucking selfish with your possessions. Right now is the time to be more opposite in your natural natures and balance those things out. Be a little more balanced in this area. You get what I'm saying? You could be someone who forces your values onto other people. You know what I'm saying? Or you could be someone who just refuses to take in the values from other people. Again, you have to start to balance this out around this time period during this season. And doing so will bring you light and awareness and recognition and attention in that 12th house. In other words, you'll gain more recognition, you'll gain more awareness, you'll gain the center stage, you will gain the spotlight when it comes to areas of your creativity, your imaginations, your dreams. And at the very least, you could be seen as a leader when it comes to these areas. So that's Libra in the second house. Libra in the third house. This is about being more relatable in your communication in order to gain attention for your personality. So what's that sound like? If you communicate in a more relatable way, your personality will start to gain a spotlight. Your personality will start to gain, attention from the outside world. And this can break down in so many ways too. Let's get into it. Libra in the third house. Right now, you have to be more diplomatic in the way that you communicate. Be more balanced. Think about the other parties right now. When you start to express yourself, and you start to express your thoughts, and you start to express the things that you think about. When you start to use words, and you start to use language, be more diplomatic. Be more considerate of the other person. Think about how the other person might feel or think when you use these particular words right now. Right now, you might be someone who has to use less vulgar. You might need to curse less right now if you have Libra in the third house, because you have to be more diplomatic in your communication. And vice versa, if you're someone who already is like that, you might have to be a little more aggressive in your speech right now, because that actually might be the energy that's needed to bring balance to a certain situation. You might have to speak angrily to someone, and that might be exactly what you need to do in order to feel that sense of balance, in order to harmonize the energies. So be mindful of that. The third house also represents friends. So you might have to be someone who has to balance your friend groups. There might be a lot of arguing, whether it's between you or amongst other friends. And you're going to have to use your energy right now, particularly your personality, in order to balance these energies, in order to solve these issues, in order to come to a conclusion to these arguments. There might be very polarizing energies right now in your friend groups, where people are begging you to pick a side and pick this side or pick this side. And you being that Libra in the third house with that Leo in the first house, that center stage being placed on your personality right now, where you have to be the one to initiate the balance. You have to be the one to pick the middle ground between both polar shifts. You understand what I'm saying? You probably do if you have Libra in the third house. But yeah, doing that is going to grant you, as I already said, more attention when it comes to your personality. You might gain more spotlight, more awareness, more of a center stage when it comes to your personality. You might even be seen as a motivational speaker right now. You get what I'm saying? Your personality has the potential to be seen as a leader right now. So be mindful of that. Going on to Libra in the fourth house. This is all about balancing your household, and balancing your household specifically to create a better sense of stability. If you have Libra in the fourth house, you have to be more diplomatic at home. You have to find ways you can harmonize the energies that's in the household, or you might have to be the person who has to balance the energies in your family. You know, the fourth house represents family. The fourth house represents home, your household. Right now, there might be a whole bunch of petty arguments, petty animosity, petty energies in general being directed towards you from family members. Right now, you have to be the one to be the diplomat. You have to be someone who comes from a very centered approach, not getting too swayed by thoughts or emotions. Very logical, very rational, and making sure you're being the wise judge because you're taking into account all parties' perspectives instead of the prejudiced judge because you're only focused on what you feel is right according to you. So right now with Libra in the fourth house, you're going to have to be someone who has to balance those energies out at home. You're going to have to be someone who has to be more diplomatic in the way just the household runs, you know? If there's chaos, you got to be the one to bring order to it. And doing so will grant you the ability to be recognized in areas of value because you have Leo in the second house. You know, balancing those energies out in the fourth house will grant you that ability to step on the center stage, to gain that spotlight when it comes to the second house, your values and the things that you're willing to compromise with and for. You can be seen as someone who has a money boost right now. You can gain a particular increase in income if you balance those energies out at home. As a matter of fact, you might be someone who creates a whole new business, a whole new job at home because of that Libra fourth house, Leo second house. You might get into a whole new sense of something where you get some sense of new value, some sense of value because you're balancing that household energy. Now going on to fifth house. This is about seeking balance through fun and leisure. Now, if you have Libra in the fifth house, you have to find an equilibrium in the way you gain entertainment. You know, you might be too engulfed into entertainment. You might indulge in entertainment too much. You know, always on social media, always on Netflix, always on something, too much into your entertainments. Or vice versa. You might don't have enough time to get into these things. And right now you will be granted that time to dive deeper into whatever you deem to be fun. This is a time about balancing that fun energy out. Now, you might need to create a better entertainment schedule. You know, you might need to create a better set time for Netflix and chill. You might need to create a set schedule for to play the game. You probably play the game too fucking much. Or you might just balance energies in general when you are the entertainer. When you step on that center stage, when you step into that spotlight, when you become the person who is seen as the performer, when you become the energy of the entertainer of the room, you can be seen as someone who is bringing balance and harmony to the situation. You can be seen as someone who is bringing new and creative ways to relate to the situation. So those are some things to be mindful of, and doing all of those things in the correct way, however that might resonate in your particular life, that's going to grant you the ability to gain the spotlight with your friends. That's going to gain you the ability to gain the center stage when it comes to your close environment, your neighborhood. That can gain you some attention when it comes to the way that you communicate and express yourself. You know, if you're someone who's very fun and lighthearted right now, people might recognize you for the way that you express yourself. And this is a very lighthearted energy with Libra in general because of, that Venus energy and Libra being in the 5th house and then Leo going into the 3rd house with Venus now being there. You could be someone who's very playful, and that playful energy can actually gain you a lot of attraction right now. So be mindful of that. Now, let's say you have Libra in the 6th house. This is all about prioritizing for the sake of the home. Now, if you have Libra in the 6th house, that means you have Leo in the 4th house. So right now you have to take a more balanced approach to work, routines, habits, schedules, health. You might need to be more balanced right now because you're probably imbalanced in these areas. You're probably a workaholic. Right now you need to take a vacation for the sake of the home. Or you've probably been sitting on your ass too much. And right now you actually have to become a workaholic for the sake of the home. You get those bills paid. You might be someone who hasn't been keeping up with your health routines. And you have to start actually paying attention to that and actually balance your health out for the sake of your home life and your family life, because you could be affecting other people in ways that you don't even realize, all because you're not taking care of yourself. So these are some things to be mindful of, and when you do these energies correctly, that will gain you the spotlight and the recognition in your household. You can be seen as the leader. You can be seen as someone who deserves to be the leader and deserves the spotlight when it comes to your family life. Now going on to Libra in the 7th house. This is all about balancing relationships for emotional joy. And this can also be interpreted as childlike friendships. Now, if you have Libra in the 7th house, that means naturally you have Leo in the 5th house. And right now you have to take time to be more diplomatic in all of your relationships in general. Right now you have to be more diplomatic in your friendships, in your family relationships, in your acquaintances, in your partner situations. You have to be someone who takes the more diplomatic approach. That is, in matters of disagreement, you have to be someone who's more willing to see things from the other side. You have to be someone who is more willing to compromise. Right now, you have to be someone who is willing to seek that harmony faster than everyone else in your friends, family, and loved one relationships. You get what I'm saying? And when you play these energies out properly, that's going to grant you the ability to be seen as a leader when it comes to areas of entertainment. And it can also grant you, at the very least, spotlight and attention and recognition when it comes to areas of entertainment. You can be seen as someone who's very fun, playful, joyous to be around right now, all because you're balancing those relationships out. You're balancing those disagreements between parties. You get what I'm saying? You're being the diplomat at its truest form. Because with Libra in the 7th house, this is the natural house of Libra. So if you play those natural energies out, you're going to get those natural energies of Leo out, whereas you be someone who is very loving and trying to find a creative way to relate to everyone, that's going to grant you the ability to be seen as someone who deserves the center stage and the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's that on that. Going on to Libra in the 8th house. This is all about politicking. This is where things get very political. In other words, activity towards influence and power. So if you have Libra in the 8th house, that means naturally you have Leo in the 6th house. So right now you have to be more diplomatic in areas of power struggles. Wherever you feel like your power is being taken away from you, wherever you feel like you might be taken advantage of, wherever you feel like someone is manipulating you and lying to you or trying to stab you behind the back or get one over on you or whatever the case may be, wherever you feel these energies, you have to be someone who is more diplomatic. Whenever you feel these energies, you're going to have to be someone who is more diplomatic. That is, you're going to have to be someone who is less willing to go out and fight, actually trying to resolve the situation by understanding the other party and try to see the conflict from an objective perspective instead of seeing it from so much a personal perspective. Right now, when you feel like someone is taking advantage of you, even if they are, you can actually gain more power by understanding that they're not taking advantage of you. Or even if they are, that can be tricky to understand. Let's say even if someone is taking advantage of you right now, you can gain more power by basically not taking advantage of them back. That's what it is. Don't seek revenge in areas where you know you're being manipulated and lied to. Try to be more understanding. Don't take things personal, even if they are coming from a personal attack standpoint. You understand? And doing this right now will grant you the ability to gain more leadership when it comes to your work life or just areas of practicality. You know, doing this will grant you more recognition, will grant you more spotlight when it comes to your work routines, your health, your habits. So you can be seen as a leader. You can actually become a boss at work right now if you notice someone is lying and manipulating and you choose not to be so aggressive and try and be all vengeful and you be more of the diplomat. You understand what I'm saying? That's that on that. Libra in the 9th house. Right now, this is all about balancing your status for ultimate power. With Libra in the... Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Libra in the 9th house. This is all about relating with wisdom to gain love. So if you have Libra in the 9th house, that means naturally you have Leo in the 7th house. So right now, you have to be more diplomatic in your spiritual and educational life. Take a more balanced approach to the way you deal with religion. Take a more balanced approach to the way you deal with schooling or just education in general. And you know, whether you're in school or not, you're learning something every day. You know what I'm saying? So the things that you're constantly getting educated on, the things that you constantly want to get educated on, balance these energies out. You know, you might be someone who is too worried about studying for the next test and worried about finals and things like that. You might be someone who's too worried about things that's happening at church and diving deeper into things that's happening with religion and et cetera, et cetera. Or vice versa. This might be the time you need to dive deeper into your spiritual side because you've been neglecting that. Or maybe there's something you need to get educated on that you haven't been paying attention to. Maybe you need to start studying something right now. And when you balance these energies out, that's going to grant you more recognition and spotlight when it comes to areas of your relationships. It's going to grant you more. People are going to notice you more in your relationships. People are going to put more of a spotlight on you. People are going to start to see you for your wisdom. People are going to start to notice you for your knowledge. People are going to start to want to connect and relate to you. And they're going to want to start to vibe out with you because they're going to start to see you for how smart you are intellectually when it comes to education or religion and spirituality. You know, or at the very least, you could be seen as a leader in this area. You could be seen as a spiritual leader. You could be seen as just an educational teacher, a teacher. You can actually become a teacher right now if you use this balanced approach. This balanced approach when it comes to your education and how you deal with learning things. Be more diplomatic and try to learn things how you don't normally learn things. If you learn things by reading, start to go watch documentaries and watch YouTube videos. And if you watch YouTube videos, whatever, go listen to some audiobooks and actually read or whatever the case may be, and try to learn in a way that's opposite to how you normally learn. And that can grant you more energy to be seen as a leader in your relationships, or become a spiritual leader, or become a teacher for that matter. Now, let's say you have Libra in the 10th house, balancing your status for ultimate power. If you have Libra in the 10th house, that means naturally you have Leo in the 8th. And right now you have to balance your status. Be more of a diplomat when it comes to your career. Try to be more relatable in your career. Try to be more relatable at work. Try not to get into those arguments, into those gossips and petty little fussies and shit like that when you dealing with matters of career and work. This can also be a thing, as I said before, where you have to balance your career life, where you have to balance your work life. You're probably a workaholic, probably a careeraholic, where you're focused too much on your career. You're focused too much on your status. You're focused too much on the way the world sees you. And right now you have to balance that energy out and take a vacation from that. Don't worry so much about that. Just go with the flow of things. Just have more fun with things, especially have more fun in areas of the 8th house. Start to seek more intimate relationships. Start to seek more intimate connections. Get out of that work-life routine shit. Or on the vice versa, you're probably someone who has to dive deeper into their career right now because you don't actually have a career. And when you dive deeper into your career and balance that career energy out, be more of a diplomat. Try to see things from someone else's perspective in your career. Like when you're planning, when you think about career as the job that you want to have for the rest of your life, right? You know what I'm saying? So start to think about this from other people's perspective. What is this dream job that you have? How is that going to look from other people's perspective? And how can you make it more relatable? And when you use these energies properly, that's going to grant you the energy to be seen as a leader when it comes to areas of willpower. Like you might gain a much deeper sense of willpower when you do these things. You could be seen as a leader of power. You could be seen as an actual diplomat. You might actually become someone who has to deal with, managerial skills, or you might become HRs or something like that. Or at the very least, you could be seen as someone who is a leader or very inspirational amongst your intimate and deep connections. You know, those relationships that you have behind closed doors, like your best friends and your life partners, your marriage partners, and you know what I'm saying? They can start to see you as a very inspirational person right now. Inspirational person when you start to do things that deal with balancing your status and balancing the way the world sees you, balancing your career, being more diplomatic in its approach. Now, if you have Libra in the 11th house, this is about leading the pack with diplomacy, being the leader who is the leader because of diplomacy, because of their ability to see things from other people's perspective. So, if you have Libra in the 11th house, that means naturally you have Leo in the 9th house. So with Libra in the 11th house, right now is a time to be more harmonizing in your community. Now, your community can play out in so many different ways. Your community can be the community that you live in. Your community can be the communities that you participate in or online. You know, like your art communities and your fandoms and shit like that. Like, whatever your community is, your tribe, those like-minded people. You get what I'm saying? If you can seek to relate to more like-minded people and seek to actually participate more in your community and try to balance your community out with your energies, you know, you can be seen as someone who is a leader when it comes to wisdom and knowledge. You know, if you start to participate in your community more, people might start to see you as someone who has a lot of information. If you start to participate in your community more, you might be seen as someone who has a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share. You know what I'm saying? And that can play out in so many different ways where you're actually doing community work. Or you're just actually leaving more comments under the videos and pages that you follow involving that mentality that you have, that lifestyle that you have. You get what I'm saying? So when you start to, you know, play these energies out more to be seen as a diplomat in your communities, you will gain more attention and awareness and spotlight when it comes to knowledge and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Now going on to last but not least, Libra in the 12th house. This is all about balancing the subconscious for a better career result. Now, if you have Libra in the 12th house, that means naturally you have Leo in the 10th house. So right now, you have to balance your imagination. You have to balance your subconscious. You may need to do more shadow work. You might need to go meditate more right now. Also, if you have Libra in the 8th house, you might need to do more shadow work and meditation right now too. I forgot to mention that. Because right now you really need to balance the things that you do behind closed doors. You need to balance that energy of willpower. You might feel like someone who doesn't have enough willpower. And when you go meditate some more, you're going to gain that willpower back. Back to the 12th house, same thing. Right now you need to balance your imagination. You need to balance your subconscious mind. Because your subconscious mind is the thing that you create from, as I mentioned earlier. And when you balance this energy, when you balance your subconscious mind, you balance your creative energies, that's going to give you the ability to create things more harmoniously. You're going to be able to create things much more relatable. Now, the things that you create isn't seen as delusional or weird and crazy or out of this world and doesn't make any sense. Now you have the ability to create things that is much more relatable for people to understand and get with the fucking program. You know what I'm saying? All if you are diplomatic. That is, use more of your energies, more of your ability to see things from other people's perspective. And when you do that, that's going to grant you the ability to be seen as a leader in your career. That's going to grant you the spotlight. That's going to grant you recognition and attention when it comes to your career. You're going to gain maybe a status boost. You know what I'm saying? People might boost your status. You might actually gain a promotion when it comes to these things. But your status is going to gain some type of spotlight and recognition if you balance your imagination and seek to harmonize your subconscious. So those are the energies that deal with Libra season 2023 according to your Libra sign and wherever it is in your birth chart.